believes this non-GAAP financial measure provides useful information for investors, the presentation of this information is not intended to be considered in isolation or as a substitute for the financial information presented in accordance with GAAP. You are directed to our press release for reconciliation of adjusted EBITDA to its closest comparable GAAP measure. During the call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on management's predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. Now, I will turn it over to Peter Chapman, President and CEO of IonQ. Peter?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our second quarter 2023 earnings call. It's been another outstanding quarter here at IonQ as we continue to push ahead and further our lead over our competitors. We finished the quarter with $5.5 million in revenue, which was well above the high end of our guidance range of $4.1 to $4.5 million. At the same time, we built upon our momentum in the private sector by closing our first major deal designed to put not just one, but two generations of future IonQ systems in Europe. This commercial milestone brings our year-to-date bookings to $32 million and puts us in striking range to achieve our previously stated goal of $100 million in cumulative bookings during the first 3 years of our commercialization efforts. As we'll discuss, this quarter's success gives us the confidence to once again raise the midpoint of our bookings guidance for the full year from our previous outlook of $50 million up to $52.5 million. Our momentum here at IonQ is accelerating with our groundbreaking technical progress driving our commercial wins. Last quarter, we shared that our team had already accomplished our technical goal for 2023 over 7 months ahead of schedule by achieving a record-breaking 29 algorithmic qubits, or AQ, on our IonQ Forte system. We have added approximately 1 AQ per month on average since going public in September 2021. With AQ 29 achieved, we are now focused on reaching AQ 35 and AQ 64. Building on that technology success, we have now closed IonQ's largest commercial deal to date. In June, we announced that we will be partnering with Quantum Basel, a Switzerland-based industry group, to bring 2 of our future systems to Europe. These systems will follow our technical roadmap, with the first one expected to reach AQ 35 and the second system expected to reach up to AQ 64. We plan to use these systems to serve European industry, government entities, and research institutes with local access to IonQ's powerful quantum systems. The beauty of this partnership is that as our first planned on-premise hardware project in Europe, we will retain some capacity on each system, allowing us to serve other prospective customers in the region from our new European data center. Our Quantum Basel partnership is significant to IonQ in a few ways. First, we noted in prior earnings calls that a large sale could create a significant boost in IonQ's near-term bookings. This is such a sale. Additionally, this partnership represents our first deal involving future IonQ systems and is a strong third-party validation of IonQ's ambitious technical roadmap. Looking forward, at AQ 64, IonQ quantum computers will be able to explore a useful computational space of 2 to the power of 64 for running quantum algorithms. In a fraction of a second, this system will be able to explore a computational space of 18 quintillion. As a reminder, a quintillion is one with 18 zeros after it. To put that in perspective, the Frontier supercomputer at Oak Ridge National Laboratory can calculate 1.1 quintillion floating point operations per second. At AQ 64, classical computers will no longer be able to fully simulate an IonQ system, And as a result, we believe these systems will enable customers to tackle certain problems that even the best classical supercomputers can't solve. We currently expect to deliver AQ 64 by the end of 2025. We are committed to achieving quantum advantage and believe we can reach this at AQ 64. Though the technical challenges on the road to this goal are significant, our team is pursuing more than one path to arrive at this historic milestone, which enhances our confidence in doing so. While these milestones are just around the corner, we are seeing belief in our roadmap driving tangible commercial adoption for IonQ today. We believe IonQ is the only public company today that is executing against a roadmap that can deliver these technical results and sell systems in this time period. We are seeing increased demand for IonQ systems, and we now hope to sell a number of systems over the next 18 months in various configurations based on customer needs. Our guidance for this year is a probability-weighted average of our pipeline, and it already accounts for the 2023 portion of these potential sales. Thomas will provide more details on our guidance later in the call. At Quantum World Congress on September 27th, we will share a more detailed technical roadmap and upcoming product details. We will live stream this presentation, and I encourage anyone interested in learning more about our roadmap or accessing our upcoming systems to use the link in our press release to sign up for the broadcast. Additionally, we are excited to be hosting an Analyst Day from our College Park office next month, with presentations that will also be live streamed via our website. Stay tuned to our investor website for more details on registering for the Analyst Day. To prepare customers to use the upcoming systems on our roadmap, we're working with forward-looking groups to help get their workforces and economies ready for quantum. As an example, we recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with South Korea's Ministry of Science, or ICT, to become a core provider of quantum education for Korean students, researchers, and industry professionals. We also had the honor to meet with South Korea's president to discuss how IonQ quantum computing might be able to accelerate the nation's economy. We could not be more thrilled to partner with the South Korean government on this initiative. We believe customers across the globe are partnering with IonQ, seeking access to our powerful new systems in order to prepare for the potential of our near-term AQ64 systems. In June, we took another step towards broad accessibility of our platform when we announced that IonQ Forte and the full power of its AQ29 is available to all our customers worldwide via direct access. Previously, this machine was only available to select partners, but now IonQ Forte can be accessed by any of our direct customers. Last week, we published a manuscript with our partners at Oak Ridge National Laboratory on modeling the benzene molecule. Benzene is a commonly used industrial solvent, and its molecular structure is a widely used benchmark to evaluate quantum chemistry algorithms. We believe our work with Oak Ridge represents the most accurate benzene model run on a quantum computer to date. Clearly, we have had another strong quarter as we continue to expand to additional institutions around the world. Last quarter, we delivered on our promise of AQ29 7 months ahead of schedule, and now we have translated that progress to phenomenal bookings growth. We believe IonQ has a clear path to scale with buy-in from institutions and corporations around the world. We could not be more optimistic about the future of IonQ and quantum computing as a whole. Now I'd like to turn over the call to Thomas for a more detailed review of the numbers. Thomas?
Thank you, Peter. Before we dive into our financial results, we are pleased to announce that in addition to our groundbreaking partnership with Quantum Basel, we will be opening up our first European corporate office, also in Switzerland. This location will allow us to service future customers in the European region and represents a major milestone in the international expansion of IonQ operations. Now, let's walk through this quarter's financial results in more detail. As Peter mentioned, we had an excellent quarter, recognizing $5.5 million in revenue, which was above the high end of the outlook we previously provided. This reflects us being able to complete work ahead of schedule for some of our milestone-dependent revenue. We exited the quarter with $32.2 million in bookings year-to-date, representing excellent progress towards our newly revised expectations of between $49 million to $56 million for the full year. While we already increased our bookings range in June, our pipeline of new business has come into clearer focus since that time. Thus, we consider it prudent to raise the range again to accurately reflect what we believe is the most likely weighted average outcome for our bookings in 2023. Given that we are still at the beginning of our commercialization phase, I want to reiterate my comment from previous earnings calls that we expect bookings to continue to be lumpy for quite some time. Moving down the income statement, for Q2 2023, our total operating costs and expenses for the second quarter were $38.6 million, up 79% from $21.5 million in the prior year period, but well within our plan for the year. To break this down further, our research and development costs for the second quarter were $19.9 million, up 106% from $9.7 million in the prior year period. Recall that we are making significant investments in R&D, and given anticipated demand, are especially focused on investing in our manufacturing capabilities to build more systems than previously anticipated in the near term. Our sales and marketing costs in the second quarter were $3.6 million, up 68% from $2.1 million in the prior year period. This increase was due to us growing our go-to-market functions and bringing on additional sales and support personnel as we continue our investment into our commercial efforts. Our general and administrative costs in the second quarter were $10.9 million, up 45% from $7.6 million in the prior year period. All of this has resulted in a net loss of $43.7 million in the second quarter, compared to $1.7 million in the prior year period. It's important to note that these results include a non-cash loss of $15.5 million for the second quarter related to the change in fair value of our warrant liabilities. As a reminder, these warrants are sitting on our balance sheet as a result of our business combination in 2021. When our stock price increases, the change in fair value contributes to a steeper GAAP net loss. Conversely, when our stock price decreases, we see a lower GAAP net loss. And importantly, we find that these non-cash gains and losses are less helpful for investors looking to understand IonQ's operational performance, which is why, at this stage in our growth, we believe adjusted EBITDA is a more helpful metric. We saw an adjusted EBITDA loss for the second quarter of $19.4 million compared to an $11.6 million loss in the prior year period. Note that we projected an adjusted EBITDA loss for the year of $80.5 million. So accounting for this quarter's loss, we believe we are still on track to hit our prior 2023 projection. Turning now to our balance sheet. Cash, cash equivalents, and investments as of June 30th, 2023 were $509.2 million. We continue to believe that this cash position, which we understand to be the strongest of any public quantum pure player, positions us well to execute on our current roadmap with the current nascent industry structure. Now, turning to our second quarter and full year 2023 outlook. We are pleased to increase our revenue outlook for the full year 2023 to a range of $18.9 million to $19.3 million. This represents our expectation that we will be able to accelerate delivery against milestones on some of our customer contracts throughout the year. We are also introducing third quarter revenue guidance of between $4.8 million and $5.2 million. As we mentioned, we are increasing our bookings outlook for the full year 2023 to a range of $49 million to $56 million. And with that, I would like to turn the call back over to Peter.
Thank you, Thomas. And thank you to everyone who has joined us today, and of course to the entire IonQ team around the globe who continue to push forward on our mission of a quantum future. Now I'd like to hand the call over to our operator for Q&A. I'd just like to say that, and I should have said this earlier, but I wanted to say thank you to Thomas and the rest of the management team for all their hard work. The company is executing very well. I very much look forward to the years ahead and working with this team to continue and accelerate our progress. I'll now turn over the call for Q&A.
Thank you. At this time, we'll be conducting a question and answer session. If you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad, and a confirmation tone will indicate your line is in the question queue. You may press star 2 if you'd like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. One moment, please, while we poll for questions. Thank you. Thank you. And our first question is from the line of David Williams with Benchmark Company. Please proceed with your questions.
Hey, good afternoon, and congrats to Peter and Thomas and the team. You guys are doing a great job, but congrats on the progress.
Thanks, David.
I guess maybe first, Thomas, when we think about, you mentioned multiple potential machines in the next 18 months. How should we think about that in terms of maybe a more realistic way to think about how many machines you could potentially sell, and what kind of revenue we should think about over the next 18 months from that?
So we gave our guidance for this year, and we will come back to our guidance for next year on the Q4 call. But recognize that we are accelerating our sales, and we're doing very well. We don't know exactly how many machines we will sell at any given point in time. What we do know is that we have a lot of inbound requests for this, and we have seen this much faster than what we thought. As you recall, when we went public, we talked mostly about access via the cloud, and we said that it would become realistic one day to be selling machines and putting them on premise. We're just seeing that happening a lot faster than what we thought.
Okay. Certainly appreciate the help there. And then can you maybe quantify the magnitude of the interest you've had, not just on the system purchases, but maybe just since you've released AQ29 and the progress that you've had, I guess, over the last 6 months? How have you seen the inbound interest improve, and is there a way to quantify that in terms of what level of interest you're seeing?
I guess what I would answer here is, as we get closer to AQ64, it's clear that there's a lot of interest there. We're well, as we said, we're well beyond simulation at that point, and so customers are starting to recognize that that's going to be, what I would say is kind of quantum's chat GPT moment, if you will, if you know what that means. Kind of people are going to wake up to quantum. So we're seeing that, and it's now, we're starting to see that excitement come through in terms of inbound.
Great. And just one last one, if I can. When you're speaking with customers, if there is hesitation, what do you think causes customers to not move forward? Or what do you hear most often as reasoning? It seems like everyone would want to move this direction, but do you ever hear, I guess, what are the negatives or what makes somebody not want to move forward? Is it expense, is it cost, or just lift?
Well, what I would say is it's probably like Sam Altman over at OpenAI 2 years before ChatGPT. There was a lot of people at that point who said that AI was never going to happen, and so sure enough, they were wrong. So, we still have disbelievers in our industry as a large. But, we continue to execute against our tech roadmap, just as what we said we were doing. And so we will continue doing that. We're very confident in it.
Thanks again for the time, and again, congrats.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Quinn Bolton with Needham. Please proceed with your questions.
Hey guys, I'll echo the congratulations on another strong quarter, and both technically and on the sales front. I guess, Thomas, now that you've had the Quantum Basel transaction sort of behind you for a month or two, can you walk us through sort of how the accounting works? Is it sort of rev rec on shipment? Is it percentage of completion because it will take a little bit of customization and it's not all delivered at one time? And then a related question is, as you sell these systems, will there be sort of like a annual service and maintenance contract that could actually represent a recurring revenue sale alongside of the hardware?
Absolutely. So while we actually haven't ironed out the accounting quite yet, because this will extend into several periods into the future, we have a pretty good idea of how it's going to look for the remainder of this year. And we are actually starting up with an access contract so that they can familiarize themselves with the power of our flavor of quantum computing before they actually have an on-prem machine. But this one will probably take a slightly different flavor of percentage of complete because of us also having the opportunity to resell some of this capacity ourselves and using this as a go-to-market entry point for Europe with localized service. But we will get back to that probably already on the next call when we can get into more details of how the recognition will work. But there will be ongoing service already today, but that will be remote. When we install the systems on-premise in Europe, we will also have ongoing maintenance and actually people on the ground there.
Perfect. And for Peter, you guys hit AQ 29 7 months in advance. You've been sort of advancing AQs about one per month. So hitting 35 seems like you're well on track, and we've got still multiple months left in this year. So maybe even surprise us on timing of AQ 35. But I guess as I look forward to AQ 64, that seems like it's where you might start to achieve quantum advantage on certain applications. It's obviously an acceleration in the AQs per month. And so how are you feeling about hitting AQ 64 in 25? What are the biggest milestones? Is it the laser system? Is it the type of ion you're using in the ion traps? What are kind of the biggest challenges to hitting AQ 64 in a couple of years' time? Thank you.
Well, first is we do feel quite confident about hitting it in 25. And we have kind of here customer validation by Quantum Basel buying one of those machines, which is great. Just there is a technical challenge. I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, but it is out back. They kind of have taken all the various technical challenges and have multiple approaches to be able to de-risk the roadmap. So so out back, there's kind of an appropriate risk analysis that's going on, and we're investing in multiple different ways to do it to be able to make sure that we hit that milestone. So, and it is, it is a whole range of things, everything from quality of lasers to optics. It runs a gamut. So, but we are very confident in hitting, just like we've done so far, hitting our roadmap into the future.
Great. Thank you.
Our next question is from the line of Trevor Janoskie with Goldman Sachs. Please proceed with your questions.
Yeah, hi all. This is Trevor. Thanks for letting me ask some questions here, and congrats on all the progress. So just to start with a clarification, with bookings being $28 million in the quarter and the quantum basal system sales equaling $28 million, does this mean there were no other bookings in the quarter, or how should we think about this?
It does not mean that. The reason is due to rounding and also foreign currency conversion, but it does mean, of course, that the majority of the bookings came from quantum basal.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And another one on the systems. So with your quantum basal agreement for 2 systems being $28 million, I guess we can infer about $14 million for each system, give or take, but you're also managing 50% of these systems. Does that mean that the ASP of a single system could be $28 million if you're not managing all of it or any of it at all? And what could the gross margin be for a single system sale where you are not co-managing the system?
That's an excellent question. I think let's go backward. The gross margin shouldn't be all that different because when you sell 100%, we aim to use the same pricing model for the second 50%. And when it comes to the actual pricing, there's a lot of different elements that goes into this. I mentioned already that Quantum Basel is already up and running on a remote access to our current service here in the U.S. And we will also have service and maintenance on the ground. And we prefer not to break out the specific elements and their pricing. But you're in the right ballpark. These are not cheap machines, which I think we alluded to in an earlier call when we said that we do large deals, and we look forward to doing more.
But for Trevor, for you, we're willing to set you up with a machine at a reasonable price right now. You can drive it off the lot as we're speaking. I'll just add a little bit to that. Is we have customers in the pipeline here who have different needs, and so there's different pricing. For instance, there's companies now which are working on quantum networking, and they have different needs, and those will be priced differently. They're not looking for AQ64 systems. They're looking for quantum memory to build quantum networks and the future quantum internet. So each customer is a little different, and the pricing is a little different based on what the customer wants.
Okay. And one more, if I may. So are these customers that are coming to you that are interested in system sales, are they mostly considering the 35 and 64 AQ like quantum basal, or is there also interest in your ARIA 29 as well?
Well, in terms of system sales, usually these are, as you know, kind of big ticket items. They have to run through a budget year and also a manufacturing cycle. So people are usually looking forward, by at least a year, and so they're looking at the roadmap. So, what I would say is people very much are interested in AQ64. They know they can't get that delivered next year, so then they're thinking, well, can I get access to an AQ35 system so I can get started and start programming and get my application started. But, people are really, I think we see lots of excitement for AQ64 systems.
Awesome. Thanks for the color, guys.
Thank you.
As a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question today, you may press star 1 from your telephone keypad. The next question is from the line of Kevin Garrigan with WestPark Capital. Please proceed with your questions.
Yeah. Hey, Peter and Tom. Let me echo my congrats on the strong results. Going off of David and Trevor's questions about kind of customer interest, since you launched Forte for commercial use for everyone, can you kind of give us a sense on how many new commercial customers you've signed up since, and any to point out?
So happy you asked that question. As you know, we already had commercial customers on that system since late last year, and we continue to work with several customers on it. What we also wanted to make sure is to is for everybody else to know that we're open for business, and we welcome all incoming calls right after this earnings call.
Okay, got it. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, and then just as a quick follow-up, with the announcement of the partnership with Quantum Basel and you guys providing 2 systems, can you give us an update on how things are progressing with your manufacturing facility in Seattle?
Yeah, very much so. So, as you know, probably when you're building a factory, the very first thing you have to do is get building permits. And so we were lucky enough to get those not too long ago. And so construction is hot and heavy as we speak in Bothell, Washington. And we expect to see this fall the first phase of the construction come to completion. And we've already got, I think, roughly 40 people in Seattle. And so they will start to be reporting to the Bothell office starting this fall. Oh, and it is,
okay.
It just lets you know it's the timeline. We're hitting our timelines, and it's also on budget as well. Little did anyone know, but we're also a construction company as well. So we're busily managing, building of a manufacturing facility as well.
Yeah, if I might add, this is probably my 20th office build-up, and I was just there a couple of weeks ago, and it's beautiful. Like, it's very, very well done. It's orderly. Like, when I started building out offices, there was not a hard hat in sight, and now in order to actually even have the walkthrough, you put on a vest, you have a nice little hard hat with the IonQ logo on. It's being done very, very professionally, and we look forward to the day when we can cut the ribbon.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that as well. Okay, great. I appreciate the color. Thanks, guys.
Likewise.
Thank you. At this time, we've reached the end of the question and answer session, and I'll turn the call over to Peter Chapman for closing remarks.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. We look forward to the exciting times ahead for IonQ and to seeing you at our Analyst Day and Quantum World Congress. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This will conclude today's conference. You may disconnect your lines at this time. Thank you for your participation.
네, 잘 들리시죠? 끝났습니다. 한 30분 정도 진행이 됐는데 내용을 한번 간단하게 정리를 해볼게요. 일단 제가 시작할 때 말씀드렸죠. 장 외에 지금 빠지는 거 페이크다 라고 말씀을 드렸는데, 제가 일어나서 봤을 때 마이너스 6%였는데 지금 플러스 5%까지 올라갔습니다. 그래서 항상 말씀드리지만 빠지면 왜 빠지는지 한번 스스로 분석을 해보시고, 그게 페이크이면은 뭐 매수를 할 수도 있는 거고 판매하지 않을 수도 있는 거고 그런 거죠. 그래서 일단은 뭐 쭉 살펴볼게요. 그래서 일단 하이라이트는 자사 시스템에 대한 수요 증가가 있기 때문에 향후 18개월 안에 여러 대의 양자 컴퓨터 판매를 희망하고 있고 실제로 대화가 되고 있다. 정확히 언제 될지는 모르고 추가 양자 컴퓨터 판매가 가능함을 암시했고요. 2분기 매출은 5.5 밀리언으로 기존 예상치의 상단, 그리고 기관들 예상치를 뛰어넘었습니다. 기관은 4.3을 봤는데 아이온큐는 5.5가 나왔고, EPS도 뭐 예측치보다 안 좋게 나왔지만 뭐 어차피 지금은 적자 기업이고 현금이 충분하기 때문에 저걸 이유로 주가가 빠진다는 거는 뭐 추가 매수의 기회로 저는 생각을 하고 있고요. 그래서 올해 예상 매출은 18.9에서 19.3 밀리언으로 1분기에 예상했던 거에 조금 상향을 했고요. 0.1 정도. 그리고 예상 부킹스는 49에서 56으로 퀀텀 바젤 판매로 인해서 그때 28 밀리언이 추가가 됐는데 45에서 55였는데 49에서 56으로 한 번 더 상향을 했습니다. 지금 두 번째 상향을 했고, 그래서 뭐 특별한 내용을 살펴보면은 일단 이번 퀀텀 바젤 계약의 의의는 아이온큐의 근미래 부킹스에 좋은 영향을 미칠 거고, 첫 미래 아이온큐 세대를 판매했다. 그래서 앞으로 야심찬 미래 목표를 잘 보여줬고 앞으로도 달성할 것이다. 그리고 64EQ 수준이면 고정 컴퓨터로 따라올 수 없고 이제 폭넓은 양자우위였는데 이게 조금 변경이 됐네요. 특정 문제에서 가장 뛰어난 슈퍼컴퓨터도 풀 수 없는 문제를 풀 수 있을 거다라고 해서 조금은 보수적인 얘기를 해줬고 9월 27일에 퀀텀 세계 국회, 의회, 퀀텀 월드 컨그레스에서 추가적인 기술적 로드맵 관련된 거를 라이브로 중계하면서 설명할 거다라고 했고 아까 제가 잠깐 놓쳤는데 9월 12일에 아이온큐 애널리스트 데이가 있을 거라고 했죠. 그래서 이 두 개는 제가 팔로우해서 전달해 드릴 거고요. 뭐 라이브로 할 수 있으면 전달해 드릴 겁니다. 그리고 또 무슨 얘기 있었냐? 지난주 오크리지 국립연구소와 함께 화학 구조물 중에 하나인 벤젠의 구조를 모델링하는 협업을 발표했다. 뭐 요거는 뭐 통상적인 거니까 큰 건 아니고 지난번에 29AQ를 7개월 일찍 달성했는데 64AQ도 2025년 목표로 다양한 방법으로 현재 달성해 나가고 있다라고 하고 있고요. 그래서 뭐 투자비 올라가고 영업비용 올라가고 이거는 당연히 예상됐던 부분이고 현재 현금성 자산은 6월 30일 기준으로 510밀리언 정도가 있다. 그래서 현금력은 뭐 리게티나 디에이브나 이런 기업들보다 훨씬 더 가장 강력하다라고 얘기를 하고 있고요. 또 보면은 저번 분기에 현금이 525였는데 지금 509면은 별로 안 썼네요. 뭐 많이 썼는데 매출이 더 들어온 걸 수도 있고 그래서 아직까지 현금은 충분하다 라고 얘기하고 있고 2023년 예상 매출 한 19밀리언 3분기 예상 매출은 4.8에서 5.2다. 자 그리고 2분기 원래 예상 매출이 4.1에서 4.5밀리언이었어요. 근데 실제로는 4.5로 나왔죠. 그러니까 3분기도 4.8에서 5.2 보고 있는데 제가 보기엔 한 5밀리언 정도 달성하지 않을까. 그래서 꾸준히 매출이 늘어나고 있는 걸 보여주고 있고 또 이제 Q&A가 중요했는데 18개월 안에 여러 대 양자 컴퓨터 추가로 판매하겠다. 이에 대해서 설명해봐라 라고 했더니 예상보다 판매가 더 빨라지고 있다. 그래서 클라우드뿐만 아니라 온프레미스로 직접 사서 고객사 장소에 놓는 게 가속화되고 있다. 그래서 고객들과 이런 계약에 대해 얘기할 때 고객들이 주저하는 이유가 있냐라고 했더니 오픈 AI에 이제 샘 알트맨이 챗GPT 출시 전에 사람들의 AI가 안 될 거다라고 했던 것 같이 고객들이 아직도 양자가 되지 않을 거다라고 믿는 사람들이 있지만 아이온큐는 여전히 기술적 로드맵을 잘 달성하고 있고 앞으로도 그럴 것이다. 그리고 고객들 관심이 많다라고 얘기하고 있고 구체적으로 퀀텀 바자리에서 발생한 28밀리언 달러가 어떻게 인식되는지에 대해서는 공개를 하지 않았고요. 하지만 뭐 64EQ는 자신감 있게 앞으로 잘 달성할 거다. 이 부분이 조금 우리가 알아둬야 될 부분인데 부킹스가 28밀리언이었는데 지금까지 달성한 게 그래서 여기 28밀리언으로 돼 있죠. 그러면 2분기에 달성한 건 퀀텀 바자리밖에 없냐라고 했는데 토마스가 약간 주저하긴 했는데 맞는 것 같아요. 그래서 2분기에서 부킹스에 기여한 거는 일단 퀀텀 바자리밖에 없다. 그래서 아직은 엄청나게 막 많이 팔리고 우리가 생각하는 것처럼 전 세계에 관심을 받고 이 정도 수준은 아니고 조금씩 커져가는 단계다라는 거를 저희가 주의하면서 투자를 해야 된다는 거죠. 너무 아이언큐 얘기만 믿어도 안 되고 애널리스트들처럼 질문을 하면서 판단을 해야겠다. 그래서 너무 과열될 필요는 없다라는 거고 사람들이 35나 64AQ만 보고 오는 거냐 아니면 29AQ의 아리아 시스템도 관심을 가지고 있냐 라고 했더니 대부분의 사람들은 64AQ에 관심이 많은데 이게 이제 1, 2년 뒤에 나오기 때문에 미리 이거 나오기 전에 뭐 테스트도 해보고 이런 거 저것 해보기 위해서 35AQ도 많이 사용하려고 하고 있다. 그 포르테 같은 경우는 웨스트파크 캐피털 여기가 아이온큐 레이팅을 바이에서 홀드로 내렸죠. 그래서 포르테를 공개를 했는데 여기에 상업 고객들이 많이 추가가 됐냐라고 하니까 뭐 돌려서 말하긴 했는데 신규 고객은 없다라는 식으로 얘기를 했어요. 이미 많은 상업 고객이 있고 뭐 열려 있다라고 했기 때문에 신규 상업 고객은 없다. 그리고 제조 시설 진행 상황을 물어봤는데 일단 허가가 오래 걸리는데 허가는 이미 받았고 공사가 진행 중이며 이번 가을에 첫 번째 단계의 공사 완료를 목표 중이다. 그리고 아이온큐 인력 40명이 이미 그 시애틀 보셀에 나가서 배치가 됐고 가을부터 업무를 시작할 예정이다. 그리고 CFO도 몇 주 전에 다녀왔는데 잘 진행되고 있고, 개업식 이제 리본을 자르는 그 세레모니도 기다리고 있다 정도로 해서 잘 마무리가 됐는데, 뭐 제가 예상했듯이 이 정도면 잘 나온 것 같고요. 그 장 외에서 빠졌던 거 거기에 휘말려서 매도하신 분들 있으면 지금 좀 후회하실 수 있을 것 같아요. 지금 플러스 5%인데 뭐 본장 열려봐야 알겠지만 오늘은 또 좋은 흐름을 보이지 않을까라고 생각이 되고요. 일단 뭐 제가 생각했던 얘기들 대부분 나왔고, 추가 양적 컴퓨터 판매가 앞으로 18개월 안에 가능할 거다. 그리고 64EQ를 2025년에 뭐 다양한 방법으로 접근해서 달성할 거고, 일단 재무 목표가 계속 상향되고 있죠. 그래서 아직은 커가고 있는 단계이기 때문에 우리가 꾸준히 길게 보면서 투자할 필요성이 있는데, 또 아까 말씀드렸다시피 너무 과열돼서 이거 아니면 안 된다 이런 식으로 투자하면 안 된다. 왜냐면 아이온큐도 이제 자라나가고 있고 사람들의 관심도 이제 커가고 있기 때문에 본격적으로 성장하는 단계는 한 2025년에 64EQ가 나왔을 때, 슈퍼컴퓨터가 따라올 수 없는 양자 컴퓨터가 시장에 팔리기 시작할 때일 것 같다라는 게 제 결론이고요. 그래서 여기서 정리하도록 하고, 오늘 굉장히 많이 오셨어요. 1500분 오셨는데 제가 이거 정리해서 오늘 밤까지 또 업로드 해드리도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 금요일 이제 태풍 본격적으로 올라온다는데 모두들 안전에 유의하시면 좋을 것 같고요. 또 영상에서 뵙도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.